Japan's premier anime magazine is finally available in English.
To get any closer to the source,
You'd have to read Japanese.
packed with over 200 pages month after month.
Free bonus gear in every issue.
Posters, centerfold, manga, postcard, DVD.
Free in every issue.
New Type USA. It begins where the other anime magazines end.
Log on to www.newtype-usa.com.
So you're looking to make some money making media about media. Well, let me tell you, I'm a bit of an expert on the subject and I can help you market yourself. You've basically got two options. Either you can sell the thing that you're making to the people who are going to consume it, or you can sell ad space inside of your thing and make your money through the people who want to use you as a platform. Now obviously you do need to strike some balance between these two things. If you can't draw any attention to your platform, advertisers will have no reason to give you money to be on your platform. And if your content comes off as just nothing but ads, people will eventually be turned off to it. So how do you draw attention to your thing in the first place? Well, the best method is to just talk about things that people care about, either because they happen to be popular or new, or some combination of both of those things. This technique has worked since time immemorial, just as much now on YouTube as it did back in the day in anime magazines, which I cut through about 100 of to make all these goddamn posters behind me.
In doing so, I was able to observe the different monetary schemes these magazines were based around. Most of them that I remember, Animerica, Anime Invasion / Insider, Otaku USA, etc., relied primarily on the popular and the new, funneling users down into the more obscure and older tangents in the deeper pages of the magazine. These books were clearly intended to sell themselves first and foremost, what with most of their writers being passionate longtime fans turned journalists trying to propagate a medium they care about and offering some level of honesty and critical review even in spite of their advertisers. New Type USA, on the other hand, is quite the opposite. Cobbled together by compiling bits and pieces of the original ultra-popular Japanese magazine with new English language bits, the magazine certainly isn't without intrigue for hardcore fans. In fact, because of those translated sections, and the fact that it would even preview shows which were newly starting in Japan at the time of release, which none of the other US magazines almost ever did, meant that it might have even been the best of them all for super hardcore otaku. But this doesn't obviate the fact that the bulk of the magazine consists of lazily formatted two-page spreads of whatever shows Bandai and ADV were releasing stateside at the time. In fact, on careful observation, you will notice the outright absence of most of what were by far the most popular anime in the stateside market at the time, which would have been getting released by Viz and Funimation. Particularly hilarious to me is just how hard the magazine would go in trying to push certain shows. I happen to have been given most of the magazine's run from the time when Eureka 7 was releasing stateside, and they really went out of their way to make it seem like the biggest possible deal that they could. Now personally, I had never owned these New Type magazines at the time because they were nearly twice the cost of my favorite, Anime Invasion, as a result of the high quality printing and inclusion of preview discs with most issues. At the time that Eureka 7 was airing on TV, I had no interest in it at all and was paying more attention to the much more successful Fullmetal Alchemist which had started alongside it. No one I knew had ever seemed interested in or to have seen Eureka 7, and it didn't have a very long shelf life on Adult Swim as compared to its contemporaries. I know that a lot of people have seen the show one way or another, and many, such as myself, did consider it to be one of the greatest anime ever made once they finally did, but there's something hilarious and even a little pathetic about how cloyingly New Type was trying to make it a thing. More hilarious still, and certainly more bizarre than that, is the constant propping up of Panty Pony Dash, which I don't think ever became much of a thing in the US. It's not hard to imagine what ADV was thinking here. Azumanga Daioh and XL Saga had both been hugely successful here in the early 2000s, with their wacky, off-the-wall humor becoming sought after by many anime fans. But either the show just wasn't aesthetically resonating with audiences in the same way, or it just wasn't getting the same word-of-mouth spread from those who actually saw it, given that Panty Pony is on a completely different level of oversaturated abject insanity and far more deeply steeped in obscure cultural references which made even less sense in context than even XL Saga. As much as I appreciate the high-level effort which ADV put into their DVD release, even including a video note mode which explains most of the references, there's no way I would have looked at this show at the time and expected it to take off in the US at all. But damn, they sure did try, as did whoever was marketing Ninja Nonsense in the same way around the time.
Trying to get people to pay attention to something they don't already care about is extremely difficult. Believe me, I do it every single day. And I have to give some credit to the way that they at least try to shake up the way they presented Eureka 7 across all these different issues. After all, when something does get popular that isn't obviously going to be popular, you never know what's going to cause it. It could be a GIF, an out-of-context screenshot, some random piece of music from the show that suddenly blows up and draws eyes to it. But it's really difficult to continue sinking cost into trying to make something happen if it just doesn't seem to be working. The arena of trying to do something new is, after all, crushingly brutal. But for those of us too bored to rest in the flowered plains of cynicism, it's the only place worth fighting in.